then finally, how to apply. So for those of you who don't know, we're Better Connect. We have been designing and leading partnership programs for nearly 20 years now. The aim of those programs is to create better lives, is to give people the opportunity to move closer to work, to gain confidence, to gain skills, and just to create a better life for themselves. We work with organisations across Yorkshire to do this. So we have over 200 local delivery partners who we have worked with across Yorkshire, with a shared mission just to make Yorkshire a better place to live and work and be part of. We've secured over £40 million funding so far. I think it's a little bit more than that now. And we hope to keep doing this work. We hope to keep managing and leading partnerships which create a better lives for people. So over to Emma to talk a little bit about the Trailblazer Community Grants offer.
Awesome, thank you, Hannah. So as Hannah mentioned, my name is Emma Lyons. Those that don't know me, I am the head of business development, and I'm the person that kind of pulls together the different opportunities in a variety of different ways, and kind of have a responsibility and an aspiration to keep putting public funds back into our sector and keeping it in our region. So a bit of background, as I'm sure you're all aware, York and North Yorkshire were very kindly awarded £10 million worth of Trailblazer funding. £500,000 of that has been allocated to this community grants opportunity. The whole point being to help people move closer to the labour market in kind of a first steps kind of engagement, and sort of contribute to that sort of Get Britain working sort of white paper policy that the government are sort of pushing for at the moment. The aim of CG this time is to support adults who are economically inactive. So they're people who have been out of work for at least the last 4 weeks and have not been in a position to gain work in that time, but also are not in a position to start work in the next 2. You'll hopefully have seen from the guidance, if you've seen that already, that we have put in a glossary of terms. So what we might mean by the different terminology that we use throughout the community grants guidance, the application, and sort of the projects moving forward. There is somewhere in the guidance there's a typo where I've kept £5,000 in for the minimum value. I can't find it, I have looked, but just to reiterate that it is £10,000 minimum grant. When we were first sort of awarded this opportunity, we thought we were going to have a full year, so smaller grants, we could have had more time to kind of make them a bit smaller and possibly award more, but with time being of the essence, and as Natasha had alluded to, if this is a success, it would hopefully set us up potentially for future funding at the end of this Trailblazer period. So it's as much about us positioning our sector and the opportunities ready for next time, hopefully, if we can make these a success. The application window, we soft launched it on the 26th of August, and we will be accepting applications from anybody who's eligible, really, up until the 29th of September at 12 noon. Depending on workload, Hannah and I will be scoring the applications. And if we get a chance to kind of get cracked on and get scoring before the 29th of September, we will do. We want to try and give people as much time as possible to deliver successful projects. So if you've got a project in mind and your application's ready to go, please don't feel you have to wait until the 29th of September to submit it. Obviously, we can't guarantee that we'll get them all marked before the deadline, but where we can, we really want to get this money out the door, and we really want to fund some really great projects. So Hannah and I are kind of some like the old hats of Better Connect. We were here when it was your consortium time, and we did have a community grants project back in the day, which we both worked on and we both loved. So we're definitely quite excited to have this sort of project back in Better Connect. We are looking for projects that can be mobilised quickly. It is a hard deadline of the 31st of March 2026. and that's for all project delivery and all expenditure to be defrayed by that time. It's not our deadline. Obviously, we'd like longer to be able to do more. But just to know, we don't have any control over this deadline and that it is a hard close. So make sure your applications are kind of viable, but also realistic. We want to make sure we're giving money to the sector, to our region. We don't want to be having to give money back. So there's no harm in asking for less than £25,000 if you think £25,000 is going to be a struggle. It won't penalise you in terms of if we award you or not. We just want to make sure we're funding viable and sort of realistic projects, sort of in the time frame that we've got left. Who's eligible to apply? So there's quite a long eligibility list, but I would say most of our partners very much sit within our eligibility criteria. So you must be from the VCSE sector or a parish or town council. I always get something muddled up, don't I? You must have an independent bank account, so it has to be in the name of your organisation. We cannot make payments to personal bank accounts. You must have employers' public and professional indemnity insurance in place. If you don't, and you've got a genuinely valid reason for not having it, please give us a call and we can have a chat with you to see if this is a genuine sticking point or if it's something that we can navigate around. You must be based in York or North Yorkshire or delivering provision to residents of York and North Yorkshire. So this funding is to benefit this region specifically. So if you're based in York or North Yorkshire but wanting to deliver a project in West Yorkshire, we wouldn't be able to fund you. This is specifically for provision that will take place somewhere within York and North Yorkshire. Your organisation must exist to support your local community and improve the lives of people within them. I think it goes without saying that you wouldn't be on this call if that wasn't sort of what you were here to do. So it's really just to make sure that we are funding the right types of organisations that are going to do some great work. And you must have a constitution or governing document. We do have preferred criteria. We'd like organisations to have an annual turnover of less than £1 million and that you're a small organisation, so less than 20 full-time equivalent staff. That being said, it is only preferred. So if you're kind of there or thereabouts, maybe a little bit over, or there's some extenuating circumstances that need to be taken into consideration, please do give one of us a call and we can chat it through with you. We know how time consuming writing applications can be, so we don't want to waste your time and we'd much rather have those honest conversations up front so we can maybe come to some sort of resolution for you. And I think this is lastly from me, I never really know, but if you are already a Better Connect delivery partner, please make sure that if you are putting in an application for community grants, that it must be different provision. We've got to be very careful about duplication. We've got to be very, very careful about double funding. As we mentioned previously, this is about setting ourselves up as a sector for what might come next. So we've really got to make sure that we are adding value, delivering things that are different, funding things that maybe are really needed but maybe aren't currently available, and just to really sort of hammer home that community grants cannot be used as match funding or to double fund existing provisions. So the projects that you put in must be projects in their own right. They can't be an add-on of other stuff that you're doing already.
I was just going to say, we have built this into the scoring criteria. So when you submit your applications, we will be working with the Rise to Thrive Trailblazer team to make sure that the activities are not kind of double funded through those projects. So it will be something that we will be checking quite closely for. And obviously, if we do have any questions, we will come back to you. And we know that often actually it's not something that people are trying to do on purpose. Often it's kind of you're trying to do the things that you're good at, but we just need to make sure that we are being kind of honest with the funding and making sure that it's been used in the best way possible.
And I think the other thing to say is it's been designed to enable progression. So the very nature of community grants is that first steps engagement. So maybe for people that aren't sure if they want to commit to an employability programme. So we do very much see community grants as that kind of first step and progression from community grants into other provision, whether it's provision led by us or provision delivered by other people. You know, we really do welcome that progression. It's just making sure that we're very clear that provision is different and that there's a genuine journey.
Yeah. Fab. Okay, so on to what can be funded. This is kind of it's open. We were welcoming innovative projects. We want something that's new, that's engaging, that's exciting, that we want to read your applications and go, oh, that sounds great. Like, this is an opportunity, as Em said, to do projects that are not already funded elsewhere, that maybe don't sit within other funding. So yeah, it's really your opportunity to do something a little bit different. But these are some of the things that we will fund. So I won't read the list out, but in terms of things like volunteering, guided work experience, more kind of arts, crafts workshops, creative workshops. We've had through the previous community grants that we ran, we've had such a range of different projects that have really approached that first steps to getting back into work in exciting ways. Woodworking, crafting. I'm trying to think. We've had projects that have been about learning how to decorate a house and kind of learn those kind of hands-on skills. Emma, can you think of any others? There's so many.
I say, ironically, my mind's gone blank, but essentially it is anything that helps people improve those interpersonal skills that sort of contribute to what good employability looks like. So anything you can parcel up that shows a genuine progression, whether it's confidence, motivation, some sort of skills, a reduction in isolation, that all contributes to good employability and might be the unlock key between somebody being unsure about whether they want to re-engage with the labour market or making that decision to join an employability programme or engage with the job centre so they can then seek work. So it really is that sort of, we call it kind of like that pre-employability support that a lot of our programmes kind of have to do up front to try and get people through the door. The community grants are really a way to engage people in those first steps to maybe see if we can unlock something that could help them progress further.
I'm excited to see the different kind of projects that come out of this, really. So in terms of the monitoring for community grants, we will have to do financial monitoring and also participant monitoring. So in terms of the finances, once you have been successful, you'll receive your contract and you'll receive an upfront 40% payment. Once you've got going and you're about maybe halfway through, we say around 50% of your total learners. It doesn't have to be exact, but around that. And you've spent the first 40% of your grant. You can then submit financial evidence. We will check that. We will make sure that everything has been kind of spent on things that are eligible. And then we will pay you your next 30%. The final payment, the final 30% would be paid when you have engaged with all of your participants. So you'll have a number of people that you need to work with and you've spent 100% of your grant, and you'll need to submit the rest of the financial evidence with that. So we will need to have 100% of your financial spend evidence submitted to us.
What I will say, is we are going to put together some detailed guidance about what that looks like and how to present your financial evidence. We also have an amazing finance team that are on hand to help.
You're jumping ahead, Emma. You're jumping ahead. She's not seen the next slide yet. So in terms of our finance team, this is our lovely finance team. Some of them are on the call today. We have been leading on programs like this for a long time, and we know what finance, how to check finance claims and what finance is needed, and how to kind of put this through to the funders so that they feel confident that the money is being spent appropriately. And that is why we do ask for financial evidence, because we do need to show to the funders that these funds are being spent appropriately. So like Emma said, we will be putting some proper guidance together, and a proper financial training session will be given to every grant recipient that's successful. You'll get to meet the finance team. You'll have key people that are your contacts to guide you through financial claims. So we will have more information about exactly what is needed through the financial claims. But just to give you an idea, this is something we will be asking for. Emma, did you have anything else that you wanted to add? Sorry,
No, I think you covered everything.
Cool. Okay. In terms of participant monitoring, so you will have a number of individuals who you will be working with throughout community grants, and you will be asked to complete sign-up paperwork and completion paperwork with them, and that is to check that they're all eligible for the project. There is some eligibility criteria for participants. Some of that is written into the guidance in terms of the key target people that you need to be working with. But it is just to check that they are suitable and eligible for the project, that they're economically inactive. And we're wanting to kind of assess how they get on really with the project. So we do use it for reporting and evaluation purposes. We want to know that you're hitting your outcomes and that they've been achieved. It's not like ESF funding. So our previous community grant was funded through ESF, and it was complicated paperwork. Now we've worked really hard to try and make that a little bit easier for our partners, and hopefully our current partners would say that it is easier than ESF days, but it's few from CJ in the chat, but we have tried to make this easy for this project, because we do know that some of the projects will just be short term, and we don't want it to be kind of too heavy-handed for participants to fill out. Participant paperwork will be completed on Jot Forms, which is an online system, which is really user-friendly. It means we can get signatures and things online. Oh, have we got someone? No. So we will collect signatures online, and like with the finance claims, there will also be comprehensive guidance for how to complete this. And you'll also have training from our participant monitoring team, who will sit down with you and show you how to use this system. These are our programs team. So this is the participant team that I previously mentioned. They'll be available to support you with your grant. So they'll be helping you manage your grant, meet your targets, and stay on track with delivery. They'll be there to support you with all things paperwork. So if you've got any questions at all, they'll be just at the end of the phone, and they'll be there to answer all of your questions. So you will have a key contact within that team that'll be the person that you reach out to with those queries, and they'll be in touch with you once you're successful with your grant. So onto my lovely team. So I am the head of impact for Better Connect, and I have a lovely sidekick called Laura. And our job is to do things like capture case studies, to capture stories, to capture the impact of the programs that we lead and manage. And we work with our partners to do that. Sorry, I'm just getting a bit of interference. Could we make sure that everybody is on mute who isn't? I just keep getting somebody talking in the background. So yeah, I can't remember what I was saying. Sorry, that threw me off. So I'll be working with you basically once you're successful to capture the impact of your projects, to make sure that we're showing the funders what an impact this is making, and that we're telling people how amazing you all are. That's something that I love to do. So yeah, once you're successful, I'll be in touch with you and introduce me and my team, and we'll make sure that we do that with you. So Emma, over to you.
So what you can expect from Better Connect, we've designed an application process that means everybody's on an even playing field. So it's a scored process. We have scored questions. We've written guidance. So every question the guidance will tell you exactly what it is we are looking for from that question. It's been designed that way purposefully. So there are organisations on this call that we know really well, and there's organisations that are new to us. And what we try to do is sort of really reduce that risk of sort of unconscious bias by having sort of a set framework that we work within. Means it kind of doesn't matter if we know you really well or we don't know you at all. Everybody starts from that sort of level playing field. We'll be really, really honest with partners. We are very, very happy to give constructive feedback, positive feedback to partners, whether they're successful or not. One of the reasons we exist is to try and keep funding coming into our sector and into our region. And if could be for many reasons you're unsuccessful with an application, we're really happy to sit down with you and go through your feedback. So provide you with something constructive that you can maybe apply to future funding. We don't want to stop people receiving funding in the future. So anything we can do to help you, we're really happy to do so. We will be responsible for the overall reporting to the funders. I think one of the things we try to offer as Better Connect is we become accountable. We want to work with you and support you so you can deliver these amazing projects. And it's for us to sort of liaise with the funders to really parcel these projects up to evidence that we're doing what they hoped we would do. As Hannah mentioned, you'll have a key contact. What I would say is you can talk to anybody within Better Connect. We're all really, really happy to help. She's gone nuts.
Sorry, Emma.
That's okay. And that, one of the things we really want to do is really, really celebrate the impact that you as organisations are having in your community. So if you do get the opportunity to engage with Hannah and her team, I really recommend it. It really helps us with evaluation, and it really, it gives you something that you can use to celebrate some of the great stuff that you're doing on top of the project, hopefully, that we can fund for you. How to apply? The biggest piece of advice I can give you is please, please, please visit our website. Please read the guidance. There is a very simple budgets and outputs and outcomes spreadsheet. It's all very self-explanatory, and I'm sure you've all got a million questions, but please, please do read the guidance, and hopefully that will satisfy those questions that you have. The deadline for applications is 12 noon on the 29th of September. This is a hard deadline at the moment. If we end up in a position where we haven't awarded all the funding, there might be another round, but our intention is to award as much of this funding that we've been allocated this time round. And obviously giving us a cut-off point means that we can really focus and help you get your programmes off the ground. Delivery window, like I said before, March is a really hard deadline. We've got no say in this. Obviously, we'd like to fund projects forever, as we'd like to be funded forever. But we all know, sadly, that's not the case. But the delivery window for CG is definitely going to be from September all the way through to March 2026. Your projects do not have to run for that full amount of time. If you have shorter time projects and you can evidence you spend within that shorter period, that is absolutely fine. We're not expecting partners to deliver 6 months worth of provision unless that's what your project has been designed to do, of course. And yeah, if you visit our website, that's got the link to the application form, it's got the link to the guidance, all the information that you need, and it also has our contact information on if you need to get in touch with one of us. So yeah, just to reiterate some of the do's and don'ts, hopefully we're using something called Jot Forms. We also use it for the participant paperwork, and hopefully I've created a form that should mitigate some of the don'ts. So the questions that you have to answer, you shouldn't be able to leave blank. You shouldn't be able to go over the word count where I've put a word count against a question. So some of the don'ts that possibly have tripped people up in the past, they're not possible. Like we've said, we're looking to fund different projects. We can't fund stuff that's already happening. And I would also advise not to leave it till the last minute. You know, take your time. When it's ready to submit, please do submit it. You know, we're really excited to start scoring. And yeah, the big thing for me is please read the guidance. There's some hints and tips in there as how to write a good application. There's bullet points as to what we want to see included in the scored questions. There's our marking criteria that's in there as well, so you can kind of see where we're coming from when we pull our scoring together.
It basically tells you how to write a good answer, doesn't it, It tells you everything that you need to know to score full marks on an answer. So do read it, because we write it and we design it for a reason in that way, so that we can help you to score the most on the application.
And there will be questions in there that you've seen before, but obviously what we want from those questions is dictated by sort of like the Trailblazer project itself. So whereas you feel you might have answered that question on a previous application, please just make sure it aligns with the guidance, and then there should be no issues in terms of awarding.
I think it's worth us saying as well, we really want to get this money out. You know, we actually want to award these projects. We're not designing these processes to trip anybody up. We actually want to get the money out of the door. So we have tried to make it as easy as possible for you so that we can do that. So I think it's on to questions that we've been asked now.
Yeah, so there's been a few questions come in since we launched the opportunity last week online. I'll go through the ones that we've had already, and we've had a couple in the chat. So do you need to be on our approved provider list? No, you don't. So Better Connect do have an approved provider list, which any organisation is very welcome to join at any time. Basically what it does is it collects the information that you have to provide in every single funding bid that you apply for. So when you apply to opportunities through Better Connect, if you've submitted this information already through our approved provider list, you won't be expected to submit it again. You'll just be asked to let us know that it's up to date. I know firsthand how time-consuming writing applications can be, so anything that I can do to help strip some of that out for you and give you some of that time back, I will do my utmost to do. We've already spoken about progression routes, and we very much view community grants as that first steps engagement. There is other provision through Better Connect and in the wider region, so external to what we deliver, that could be a genuine progression route from the provision that's delivered through community grants. I've already told you about my was it a purposeful mistake where I left £5,000 in as the minimum grant, but it's definitely £10,000 minimum grant. We can cross-refer. I think it's fair to say if participants are already engaging with you on other provision. I'll use Rise to Thrive as an example. If the provision a participant you're working with needs is not available within the partnership or not available within your organisation, you can cross-refer into community grants and vice versa. Not vice versa, that's definitely a lie. The definition of long-term sick I was asked about, the DWP are using the ONS definition, so there's not a lot of meat on the bones for it. It's just anything that relates to a health condition or illness that lasts or is expected to last 12 months or more. And to my knowledge so far, there is no requirement for people to prove it. So there is a self-declaration that will be built into the participant paperwork for the participant and for you as the organisation to sign. But we certainly are not asking them to share proof of medical issues with you and then ultimately with us. A couple of keen organisations have had a look at the application form, and I have tried to add in a save function. Jotforms is quite new to us. It is proving to be a brilliant piece of software that's working really well on our projects, and which is why we chose to trial it for the applications for community grants. If there's anything you come across that you think this is rubbish, or anything you think that's constructive that could maybe help us to develop future application forms, please do let us know. Like I said, I have added a save button in, so hopefully you don't have to do the whole thing in a oneer. And just looking in the chat, we've had a couple of questions. Any scope on the age? Would we be able to accept 14-year-olds at risk? As Alex has already replied, but unfortunately the minimum age for being in receipt of any Trailblazer provision is 16. So anybody younger would not be eligible to access any of the provision. CJ had asked, does the cohort specifically have to be from the two age brackets, so 16 to 24-year-olds and 50 to 64-year-olds? We do have targets around that, making sure that the money is being spent within those cohorts. However, we did go back to the combined authority and had verbal confirmation that as long as the people that were engaging on our projects meet one of the criteria, so not necessarily one of the age group criteria under Trailblazer, so that includes long-term sick or being from a coastal or rural inactive community, they'd be very welcome to receive provision through community grants. And that's it for questions in the chat. So I just want to open the floor, and if there's anybody that has a burning question, whether it's about well, anything really, please do ask.
Oh, I think we've done well, Emma, covering all that information. No, anybody? Oh, we've got one. Lisa.
Hi guys, thank you. That's been really, really helpful. Thank you. My question is around double funding and running courses that you're seeing success on, and as they come to an end, carrying on with the course and finding new people. Is that appropriate to fund?
It wouldn't be double funding if it wasn't being funded elsewhere. Essentially, if you've got funding to run a course and then you apply to funding to run that same course, then that would be double funding. If that funding has come to an end, then it would only be being funded through one source. So that would be fine as long as it meets the criteria of the wider sort of Trailblazer community grants.
Lovely. Just to dig into that a little bit more. So the nature of the course that we're running, in our minds, and again, we're new, so we're finding our feet with lots of the criteria as well. So when we very first applied, we figured we would do a 10-week course for 10 people. But of course, the reality kicks in and you don't always sign 10 people up on day one. So the course is actually coming to an end, but not everybody has managed to do 10 weeks. How do we do that? Because obviously we would love to continue on with the course because we are seeing its value, but some people who finished their 10 weeks are done, and those who joined later haven't completed 10 weeks. So it's a one that we're finding tricky to work out ourselves here internally. What's the best way forward?
I think they'd need to be completely separate cohorts, if I'm honest. I think if you've been funded under one funding umbrella, it starts to blur the line if all of a sudden you've been in receipt of that provision from two different pots of funding. Whilst it probably, there'd be a way to evidence that it wasn't double funding, it does muddy the waters, and I think it becomes quite risky if we're audited. So one of the things we have to be very careful of is future-proofing our opportunities. So I would say you probably need a really clean line in the sand between what has been delivered under one pot of funding to what is going to be delivered under another.
Sure. So where we've had people join later on our course and they've only maybe manage 3 or 4 goes at the course, then we would just draw a line and say, we set out to do 10 weeks, the 10 weeks is complete, and we start afresh.
Start again.
Yeah. Yeah. So you would say, so you would finish that course as intended, and then you could start a new course doing something different, or doing the same thing. I guess it could be the same thing if that's kind of what, if you want to continue it. The only thing is, I guess, if it is the same thing, and I see what you're trying to say, Lisa, because I think are you saying you'll use some of the same people on a new community grants course that have been on?
No,
Okay.
actually, because I figured that wouldn't be allowed.
Yeah, so if it's entirely new people, totally fine. I think it's just if you were using the same people, there maybe would be a question about that, just because they'd already received that support through a different funding pot.
Yeah.
But if it's entirely different people, that would be fine.
And I think actually, from our own perspective here, even if some of the same people came, we would foot that bill, as it were, just because we would let them come, and that would be a separate issue. So just to then drill a little bit more into the funding, and it might be that I need a separate conversation with Julie on this. When we initially looked to put our claims forward for our course, there was a question over delivering it in a short time, and the funding was meant to kind of eke on until March. But the reality is, we can carry on claiming until March. However, the course will be finished. So there's a few pieces.
It's going to be a different funding model. So the funding model you're talking about under Rise to Thrive is just for Rise to Thrive in its entirety. The funding model that we're using for the Trailblazer community grants is different, because that simplified cost model, which I appreciate isn't always simple, doesn't work for community grants. So I can see that CJ's put a question in the chat about it being a full cost recovery model. So it will be more aligned to what is delivered. So it will be staff time, it will be venue hire, it will be consumables and resources. It will be a completely different financial claims process, which I think will better meet your needs, Lisa, in terms of that you'll claim for when it happens rather than having to eke that funding out over a set period of time.
Okay, no, that makes sense. I did wonder that actually when you said that there's the upfront 40 and then the 230 based on your evidence, financial evidence. So that's really helpful.
Yes, it's a different funding model. Essentially, the funding model we use on the other projects, because it's such a bigger amount of money overall, it's a better way of evidencing spend. When you've got less money and smaller grants, that model doesn't work. So
it's actual cost.
It's actual cost, and there'll be detailed guidance about expectations. You'd just be showing us what your costs are specifically for delivering your project. It will be much not simpler. I don't want to commit to anything. That finance claims are never simple, but it will definitely be more aligned to what you're delivering.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think CJ's full cost recovery, that encapsulates exactly what you would be aiming for with a project like this. So thank you.
I will just say there is a caveat to the financial model and sort of the participant journey monitoring that we're proposing. We have had everything agreed verbally by the combined authority. We are yet to sign on the dotted line. So until we have it confirmed in writing, we cannot guarantee that there aren't going to be changes. But we are making, we put a really good case forward as to why we want to do things in the way that we're doing them. I don't see there being an issue with there being a full cost recovery model. It's in some respects more robust than the other financial claims model that we're currently using. But just wanted to make you aware that whilst we've had the go ahead, we still actually haven't signed the bit of paper that confirms the exact model that we'll be using.
Okay, thank you.
So I've got a couple more questions in the chat. Has answered some of them.
pick up Sarah's.
Yeah, I've just got there now. Oh, Alex has responded.
Yeah, just to reiterate what Alex says, Sarah, absolutely. It sounds like a great project. It sounds like something that would definitely be suitable for this pot of funding. Yeah, definitely. I think, like Alex says, it would just need to be used for revenue and not capital. So you just need to make sure that you were funding, your costs were appropriate for the project and for the funding.
Yeah, I just said that because you'd said funding for a centre, which made me think, are you wanting to use the money to for the capital? But as long as the money's being used to deliver support for those people coming out of rehabilitation, that's fine. But it is revenue funding, not capital funding.
Just to pick up John's point, I know Alex has responded, but it might be helpful to other people. John asked, is there a minimum number of guided learning hours per participant? No, we haven't stipulated this, but we would expect to see you discuss this in your application, and we would also expect it to be a reasonable amount for the amount of participants that you're working with and the amount of money that you're going for. So again, we'd need you to consider it. There's not necessarily a minimum, but we'd expect it to be high quality. So we wouldn't expect to see a really small amount of guided learning hours for a big amount of money. So we're about quality support. So we'd expect to see that come through your application.
To pick up on Laura's question, assuming preferences for this to go to individual organisations rather than to partnership projects. I mean, I don't think there's anything to say we couldn't fund a partnership project, but I would err on the side of caution. There is not a lot of money available. £25,000 possibly isn't enough for a partnership project, but we would definitely consider it. There's no reason why we couldn't. So, you know, like I said, we want to get the money out the door, and if it's feasible, viable and realistic, and obviously the scoring criteria has been met in the application, then there's no reason why we couldn't fund something like a partnership project. Does anybody have any other questions?
I don't think so.
Lovely.
Okay, so just to say as well, if you do think of anything after the fact, feel free to contact Emma or myself, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And we do look forward to receiving your applications. I'm actually super excited to see them coming in, so looking forward to it. Brilliant. Thank you so much, everyone.
I think there's one more slide, Hannah. That's our contact details on.
Pushing ahead. There we go. So
I will follow up with an email to everybody that I've emailed already, and especially the people that have attended today, with the slide deck and also with the recording of today, just so you've got all the information. Highly recommend you visiting our website and having a good nosy through the guidance and sort of all things related to community grants. And please, please, please do get in touch if you've got any questions. We want to get the money out. We want to fund local organisations delivering local projects. So, you know, feel free to get in touch with us if you've got any queries.
cool. Thank you. Thank you all. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Sorry.
It's all right. Oh.
My dog, I'm surprised he hasn't made an appearance yet, to be honest.
Oh. Thanks. Bye.
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 Got an